dimensions is elastic. Sue can fade from sight. Johnny's a human torch. The thing just loves to fight. Call the four. That's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be calling the four as I'm going to review Whatever Happened to the Fantastic Four by Ryan North, the start of his run today on the Yummy Buds Cafe. Alright, so here we go. Fantastic Four, Whatever Happened to the Fantastic Four. This is the new run by Ryan North. Well, not really new. It's been a few years old, but I wanted to check it out because, again, I wanted to dive more into some Marvel stuff, specifically Fantastic Four. I've always been, intrigued by them. I read, a couple runs by them, but not a lot. So it actually starts off with Ben and Alicia coming after. I'm assuming they're on their honeymoon because, if I recall, I think they got married at the end of Dan Slott's run. So they end up in this small town. They do go away specifically for a while from the family for a reason I'll get into later. But yeah, it's actually kind of cool because the way the first few issues act as almost like these anthology stories where the first issue is okay, here's Ben and Alicia, and then the next issue is going to focus on Reed and Sue, where Reed and Sue are in this town full of Doombots, and they have to figure out what to do with that. That try to save the small town, specifically this older woman. And then we get to the next issue, which is the Johnny Storm issue, which is my favorite issue, where Johnny has to deal with the family being separated. Because, like I said, the family gets separated by a certain event that I'll talk about in a second, that I'll go into. But yeah, so while the Fantastic Four is not around right now, what exactly is Johnny Storm doing? He's working at a retail job. Yep, I can relate to that, Johnny. I can totally relate to that. But yeah, this is a pretty cool, fun story where Johnny works at a retail store for a bit. And the guy who they're working for is not exactly the nicest guy in the world. And Johnny tries to be the Human Torch to get this guy to pay his employees better. The guy doesn't go for it, especially because he knows some of the vulnerabilities of the Human Torch, specifically that Johnny can control the fire, that if someone touches him, that it won't be able to affect them. So basically he's using Johnny's good morals against him. Yeah, it's definitely my favorite story of the bunch. Overall, like I said, I really do enjoy the art. I like the writing in here. Ryan North's actually going to be writing The Flash soon, so I'm very excited for that. Very, very excited to see that, especially after reading this. And this is the big issue here. This is the issue that shows exactly what happened. So, basically, the Fantastic Four were fighting these aliens, and the Baxter building was basically being destroyed, or basically being overrun by these aliens. So what Reed decides to do is Reed decides to make the building disappear along with that area of New York. And the problem, though, is that the building has Reed and Sue's kids in there, along with a couple other kids. I guess Ben and Alicia's kids. I didn't even know they had kids, but okay. So they're all trapped in the building, and because of that, one of the things that he does, or that he explains, is that he basically puts the building in a time warp where it should be coming back. The problem is that the process is going to take about a year. So basically, the Baxter Building and their kids are going to be gone for over a year. And let's just say Ben and Alicia don't take this very well at first. And that's actually the reason why they were gone for a bit and had their own little adventure. But yeah, that is one of the things I do like about Fantastic Four is I love the family dynamic and I love some of the drama, but I love that the drama is not to the extent of, say, like, the X-Men or the Avengers, you know? It's like, at the end of the day, they still come back together. And it's overall very wholesome. But I do like this moment here where Ben and Alicia do realize that, yeah, maybe they shouldn't be constantly blaming Reed because Reed's hurt too. Like, Reed's upset as well. Like, he lost his kids. He lost Franklin and Valerina, I believe her name is. Yeah, he lost his kids too, and he's upset that he couldn't be better. That, like, the smartest man alive couldn't think of a better plan to solve the situation. And overall, I really do like the writing in this. And eventually, from this, the Fantastic Four do decide to get back together. But, of course, since they do decide to get back together, of course, the Baxter Building ain't going to be around for a year, so they got to figure out some place to live. So they decide to go and live with Ben's Aunt Petunia for a while. But before they can do that, they get attacked by some of these villains. Again, I don't know who they are. My Marvel knowledge is very limited. I apologize. But eventually they do solve the day. And then there's this other interesting issue that I like too that's pretty cool where they discovered this pond that gets, like, affected with, like, all this, like, bacteria. And what they eventually decide to do is to get rid of the bacteria once and for all is Johnny comes up with a great plan that he decides, well, you know what, like, if the bacteria doesn't have sunlight and it can't grow, then it'll just starve and die. So why don't we just have Sue make the sun invisible for 3 days? Because Reed said it would take, like, 3 days to do that. Like, it would need, like, 3 days of no sunlight for the bacteria to die. So then they decide, like, well, let's do that. So Sue and Johnny go up into space and do that to cover up the sun. Of course, they tell the people ahead of time, be like, hey, we're going to be living in darkness for 3 days, so just get ready for that. And I like this brother and sister dynamic with Johnny and Sue and them hanging out, and Johnny basically keeping her company and trying to, like, keep her, like, distracted so she's not constantly thinking about, like, making the sun invisible and, like, making her, like, fall asleep. Like I said, overall, I do like this story. It does end where Maria Hill comes, and it's like, yeah, about that whole thing about the Baxter Building, what's that about? And everyone's like, oh, we gotta go, bye! And that is how the first volume ends. So overall, I did like the story. I liked where it was going. I liked the art. I liked the writing. I thought it was very good. I really enjoyed Ryan North's writing, and I look forward to reading more of his Fantastic Four, as well as him coming on to the Flash book soon, which would be really cool. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed this, and especially for someone who really doesn't read a lot of Marvel, I think this was a very nice, easy pickup. Like, I didn't feel like I was lost at all. Like, I read some Fantastic Four, but not a lot, but I was able to read this and understand everything perfectly fine. So overall, I think it's a very good starting point too if you want to check out Fantastic Four. Anyway, guys, like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.